The British monarchy presents itself to the world as a symbol of continuity, tradition, and national identity. Tourists flock to Buckingham Palace, Windsor Castle, and the Tower of London, marveling at the pageantry and historical significance of these iconic structures. The official narrative suggests that the royal family exists within a carefully regulated constitutional framework funded by the sovereign grant, a transparent mechanism derived from Crown estate profits that supposedly accounts for every penny of taxpayer support. Yet beneath this veneer of accountability lies a vast, largely invisible empire of private wealth, property holdings, and financial arrangements that escape public scrutiny. While most British citizens struggle with housing affordability, stagnant wages, and the rising cost of living, the Windsor family maintains control over dozens of palatial estates, country houses, and income-generating properties whose true value remains deliberately obscured. These holdings exist in a legal and financial twilight zone, neither fully private nor genuinely public, shielded by centuries-old conventions, legal exemptions, and a culture of deference that discourages serious investigation. This investigation examines the hidden architecture of royal wealth, focusing specifically on the property portfolio that the public never sees. From Sandringham House and Balmoral Castle, officially private estates worth hundreds of millions, to lesser-known residences like Burke Hall, Bagshot Park, and Gatcombe Park, the royal family occupies a privileged position that would be unimaginable for any other British family. These properties are not merely homes. They represent accumulated wealth, tax advantages, and a system of inheritance that operates according to different rules than those governing ordinary citizens. The distinction between private royal property and crown property has become increasingly murky, deliberately maintained to serve the interests of the institution. When convenient, the monarchy emphasizes its role as custodian of national heritage. When scrutiny intensifies, it retreats behind claims of private ownership and personal privacy. This strategic ambiguity allows the royal family to enjoy the benefits of both worlds while accepting the obligations of neither. Recent controversies, from the renovation costs of Frogmore Cottage to Prince Andrew's refusal to vacate Royal Lodge, from questions about who truly owns Highgrove House to the tax-free transfer of multi-million-pound estates, have exposed the inadequacy of existing transparency mechanisms. The British public is expected to maintain its emotional and financial support for the monarchy while remaining largely ignorant of the economic reality that underpins it. This essay argues that the secrecy surrounding royal property is not incidental but essential to the monarchy's survival in its current form. Full transparency would reveal not merely excessive wealth, but a system of privilege that fundamentally contradicts modern democratic values. As Britain faces its most severe housing crisis in generations, with hundreds of thousands of families on waiting lists and homelessness rising sharply, the spectacle of one family controlling 30 or more palatial residences becomes increasingly difficult to justify. The following investigation traces the contours of this hidden empire, examining specific properties, the legal mechanisms that protect them, the financial opacity that surrounds them, and the implications for the monarchy's future. It explores why certain estates remain deliberately invisible in public discourse, how the system of royal property ownership actually functions, and what full transparency would reveal about the true cost of maintaining Britain's constitutional monarchy. The evidence suggests that the royal family's property portfolio represents not merely inherited wealth, but an ongoing accumulation of advantages, tax exemptions, subsidized renovations, rent-free occupancy, and transfers of assets that would trigger substantial taxation for any other British family. The system is designed to ensure that royal wealth compounds across generations while remaining largely hidden from democratic accountability. As younger generations become less deferential and more questioning of inherited privilege, and as economic pressures intensify for ordinary Britons, the sustainability of this arrangement grows increasingly doubtful. The monarchy's response has been to promise symbolic reforms while preserving structural realities, a strategy that may prove insufficient in an age of information and rising demands for transparency. This investigation begins with an examination of the fundamental ambiguity at the heart of royal property ownership before turning to specific estates that illustrate different aspects of the system. It concludes by considering whether the monarchy can survive the transparency that modern democratic accountability demands, or whether the architecture of secrecy is so essential to the institution that its dismantling would precipitate fundamental transformation. The royal property empire, the public never sees. When British newspapers publish their annual estimates of the royal family's wealth, they typically focus on the Crown estate, a property empire worth approximately £15.6 billion that generates hundreds of millions in annual profits. The public is told that these profits flow to the treasury, with a percentage returned to the monarchy through the sovereign grant. This narrative creates the impression of a neat, accountable system. The reality is considerably more complex. The Crown estate, despite its name, is neither the private property of the monarch nor a conventional government asset. It exists in a constitutional gray area, managed by an independent board, but with its revenues ultimately belonging to the sovereign in right of the Crown. More importantly for this investigation, the Crown estate represents only one component of royal property holdings, and arguably not the most revealing one. Beyond the Crown estate lie three additional categories of property: the duchies of Lancaster and Cornwall, which generate private income for the monarch and heir respectively; properties held by the Royal Collection Trust, which claims charitable status; and most obscurely, the private estates owned personally by members of the royal family. It is this final category that remains most carefully hidden from public view. The Duchy of Lancaster, valued at approximately £653 million as of 2023, generates annual income of around £24 million for the reigning monarch, income that remarkably is exempt from corporation tax. The Duchy of Cornwall, worth approximately £1 billion, produces similar income for the heir to the throne, currently King Charles III before his accession, and now for Prince William. These medieval institutions operate as private estates with considerable commercial portfolios, yet benefit from tax exemptions and legal privileges unavailable to other landowners. But even these substantial holdings do not capture the full extent of royal property wealth. Beyond the official portfolios lie numerous estates that function as private royal residences, many acquired or maintained through family inheritance, gifts, or purchases made possible by the accumulated advantages of royal status. These properties include some of Britain's most valuable country estates, yet their ownership structures, valuations, and costs to the public purse remain largely opaque. Sandringham House in Norfolk and Balmoral Castle in Aberdeenshire are officially private property, purchased by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in the 19th century and passed down through royal inheritance. Yet both estates benefit from subsidies, security costs, and maintenance support that blur the line between private ownership and public support. Balmoral alone is estimated to be worth over £100 million, possibly exceeding £1 billion when considering the entirety of the 50,000-acre estate. Sandringham's 20,000 acres and extensive properties are valued at well over £200 million. Beyond these famous estates lie dozens of additional properties. Grace and favor residences provided rent-free to family members and former royal staff, working farms and commercial properties that generate income, historical houses with unclear ownership status, and private homes purchased or renovated with funds whose origins remain deliberately vague. The true extent of this empire is difficult to establish because, unlike other major landowners in Britain, the royal family is not required to disclose its full property holdings. There is no comprehensive public register of royal real estate, no requirement to declare the value of privately held properties, and no obligation to specify which costs are borne by the family and which are subsidized by taxpayers. Estimates of the total value of royal property holdings vary wildly, from conservative assessments of £500 million to speculative valuations exceeding £5 billion or more. The uncertainty itself is revealing. In a country where property ownership is typically a matter of public record, the royal family enjoys special exemptions that prevent full transparency. This opacity serves multiple purposes. It protects the family from public criticism about the scale of its wealth during times of economic hardship. It prevents accurate calculation of the true cost of the monarchy, allowing official figures to focus on the sovereign grant while ignoring security expenses, police costs, duchy income, and the value of rent-free accommodation. Most importantly, it maintains the illusion that the royal family's wealth is somehow different from ordinary private wealth, simultaneously presented as belonging to the nation and to the family, depending on which framing proves more advantageous. The properties examined in the following sections represent only the most significant or controversial examples of this hidden empire. Each reveals different aspects of how the system operates: the ambiguity of ownership, the transfer of assets between generations without normal taxation, the subsidization of private property by public funds, and the strategic deployment of privacy claims to prevent scrutiny. Together, they illustrate why the monarchy depends on secrecy to maintain its current position, and why transparency represents an existential threat to the institution in its present form. Private versus public ownership. A murky distinction. The fundamental problem in analyzing royal property is that the basic categories of ownership, public and private, become almost meaningless when applied to the Windsor family. This is not accidental, but represents centuries of careful legal and constitutional evolution designed to protect royal interests while adapting to changing political realities. In theory, the distinction should be straightforward. The crown estate and properties held in right of the crown belong to the institution of monarchy, passing automatically to each successor. Private property belongs to individual members of the royal family and can be bought, sold, or bequeathed according to personal wishes. This distinction is regularly invoked by palace officials when questions arise about specific properties. In practice, the boundaries are deliberately maintained in a state of productive ambiguity. Sandringham and Balmoral are presented as private property when the family wishes to emphasize its right to privacy or to resist transparency demands. Yet these same estates receive substantial public subsidies for infrastructure, security, and maintenance. When Queen Elizabeth II died in 2022, both properties passed to King Charles III without the inheritance tax that would apply to any other British family transferring assets worth hundreds of millions of pounds. This exemption from inheritance tax, which currently stands at 40% for estates exceeding the threshold, represents an enormous financial advantage that compounds across generations. A private individual inheriting Balmoral's estimated value would face a tax bill potentially exceeding £40 million. Charles paid nothing. This arrangement is justified on the grounds that these are working royal estates essential to the monarchy's function, yet they are simultaneously treated as private property when convenient. The same pattern applies to other properties. Highgrove House in Gloucestershire, Charles's personal residence for decades, was purchased by the Duchy of Cornwall, meaning it was acquired with income that, while claimed as private, derives from a medieval institution with special legal status and tax exemptions. When Charles became king, Highgrove and its extensive gardens, commercial operations, and valuable estate passed to Prince William along with the duchy itself. The transfer occurred without the capital gains tax or inheritance tax that would apply to any comparable transaction between private individuals. Clarence House, St. James's Palace, and numerous apartments within the various official royal residences exist in a similar twilight zone. They are neither owned by the resident royals nor rented at market rates, but provided as part of their royal function. Yet the line between official function and personal benefit becomes impossible to draw when these properties serve as private homes for decades, are renovated at public expense, and provide rent-free accommodation worth millions of pounds annually. The concept of grace and favor residences further complicates matters. These properties, ranging from substantial houses to apartments within royal palaces, are provided rent-free to royal family members, former staff, and individuals with various connections to the monarchy. The value of this benefit is rarely calculated or disclosed. Princess Anne occupies Gatcombe Park, a 700-acre Gloucestershire estate with its own farmland, stables, and multiple houses, which was purchased for her by the Queen in 1976. While presented as a private residence, it was acquired with funds derived from the monarch's position, transferred tax-free, and exists within the broader system of royal property arrangements that most British families could never access. The legal mechanisms protecting this ambiguity are sophisticated. Royal wills are sealed, preventing public knowledge of how property passes between generations. The monarch is exempt from freedom of information requests that apply to other public institutions. The royal family is not required to disclose property ownership in the same way as members of parliament or other public figures. Planning applications for royal properties often receive special handling, with security concerns invoked to limit public scrutiny. Even the basic question of who owns what becomes difficult to answer with certainty. Does Charles personally own Birkhall, his private Scottish residence? Or does it belong to the Duchy of Cornwall? Or is it crown property provided for the heir's use? Different sources give different answers, and no definitive public record settles the matter. This opacity is not an unfortunate side effect, but a deliberate feature of the system. The justification offered for these arrangements typically invokes two contradictory principles: that the royal family needs privacy like any other family, and that royal property is held in trust for the nation and cannot be treated as ordinary private wealth. When scrutiny focuses on extravagant spending or valuable assets, the held in trust for the nation narrative emerges. When questions arise about taxation, inheritance, or transparency, the privacy argument takes precedence. This murky distinction serves the monarchy's interests by preventing accurate assessment of its wealth, avoiding taxation that would apply to comparable private holdings, and blocking transparency that would reveal the true extent of public subsidy. For the public, it creates confusion that discourages sustained scrutiny. If even experts cannot clearly establish who owns what, how can ordinary citizens evaluate whether the arrangements are reasonable? The following examination of specific properties reveals how this ambiguity operates in practice, with each estate presenting a different facet of the system. Some are unquestionably private, but benefit from tax exemptions. Others are officially provided for royal duties, but function as personal residences. Still, others occupy intermediate categories that resist clear classification. Together, they illustrate how the boundary between public and private has been deliberately obscured to protect royal privilege. Sandringham House, the £200 million Christmas secret. Sandringham House, the royal family's country estate in Norfolk, occupies a unique position in the public imagination. It is the setting for the family's traditional Christmas gathering, regularly featured in media coverage of royal festivities and presented as a private family home where the Windsors can escape the formality of official residences. This carefully cultivated image of domestic normalcy conceals the reality of an enormous estate worth well over £200 million, maintained at considerable public expense, while legally classified as private property. The estate was purchased in 1862 by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert for their son, the future Edward VII, using accumulated royal funds. It has since passed through royal inheritance to each succeeding monarch, most recently from Queen Elizabeth II to King Charles III in 2022. The transfer involved no inheritance tax, despite the estate's enormous value, an exemption that would save Charles's estate tens of millions of pounds that an ordinary British family would be required to pay. Sandringham encompasses approximately 20,000 acres of Norfolk countryside, including farmland, woodland, residential properties, and commercial operations. The main house contains more than 200 rooms, including accommodation for staff, guests, and family members. Additional properties on the estate include Park House, the childhood home of Diana, Princess of Wales, numerous cottages and farmhouses, and commercial facilities including a visitor center, museum, and gardens that generate income from public access. The estate operates as a working farm and commercial enterprise, generating income from agriculture, timber, rental properties, and tourism. These revenues are private income for the monarch, subject to voluntary income tax since 1992, but not to the corporation tax that would apply to any other comparable business operation. The agricultural and commercial activities benefit from the estate's royal association, with the Sandringham brand commanding premium prices for produce and products. Security for the estate is provided by Norfolk Constabulary and Royal Protection Officers, with costs borne by the public purse. These expenses are not disclosed in detail, but security for royal residences across Britain is estimated to cost taxpayers over £100 million annually. During the Christmas period, when multiple family members gather at Sandringham, security requirements intensify substantially, with road closures, heightened police presence, and extensive protection operations funded entirely by taxpayers. The estate also benefits from publicly funded infrastructure improvements. Roads providing access to Sandringham are maintained by local authorities. Emergency services, healthcare facilities, and other public services used by the estate are funded by taxpayers. When renovations or improvements are required, the line between private funding and public subsidy becomes unclear. Palace officials insist that the royal family pays for private residences, but the exact arrangements, costs, and any indirect subsidies are not disclosed. The visitor operations at Sandringham present their own ambiguity. The house and gardens are open to public tours when the family is not in residence, generating substantial income. This income is presented as private revenue for the estate. However, the ability to attract visitors depends entirely on the property's royal associations and historical significance, assets that derive from the institution of monarchy rather than personal achievement. Without royal status, Sandringham would be merely another large country estate with limited commercial appeal. The estate's relationship with the local community further complicates assessment. Sandringham employs approximately 200 people in various capacities, making it a significant local employer. It provides housing for some employees and maintains the historic estate in ways that benefit the region's heritage and tourism. Royal supporters cite these contributions as justification for the family's privileged position. Critics counter that any wealthy landowner provides similar benefits, yet without the tax exemptions, security subsidies, and special legal protections enjoyed by the royal family. The Christmas tradition at Sandringham has become central to the monarchy's public image. Photographs of the family walking to church on Christmas morning, appearing relaxed and relatable in country attire, are disseminated globally each year. This imagery serves important narrative purposes, presenting the Windsors as an ordinary family with private domestic traditions. The reality of a 20,000-acre estate worth over £200 million, exempt from inheritance tax and subsidized by public security spending, remains carefully obscured behind the cozy image of family Christmas celebrations. During Queen Elizabeth II's reign, Sandringham was also the location where she spent the initial period following Prince Philip's death, presented in media coverage as a private grieving process. The estate's function as a refuge from public scrutiny is regularly emphasized. Yet this privacy comes at public expense, with security operations, police protection, and various subsidies enabling the isolation that royal family members claim as a personal right. The estate's transfer to Charles in 2022 occurred with minimal public discussion of its value or the tax exemption involved. Had Elizabeth II been an ordinary private citizen, her estate would have faced a detailed probate process, public valuation, and substantial inheritance tax liability. The royal family operates under different rules. Wills are sealed, transfers occur privately, and valuations are not disclosed. The public learns of these arrangements only through occasional journalistic investigations or statements made in response to specific controversies. Sandringham, therefore, exemplifies the central contradiction of royal property ownership. It is presented as private when the family seeks privacy or wishes to avoid scrutiny of its wealth. It benefits from public subsidies, security, and infrastructure that would not be available to ordinary private property owners. It generates income that receives favorable tax treatment, and it transfers between generations without the taxation that applies to every other British family. The estate is valuable not merely for its size and agricultural productivity, but for its royal associations, its historical significance, and its function in the monarchy's public relations narrative. This value derives from institutional position rather than personal achievement. Yet the benefits accrue privately to family members while costs are socialized across the taxpayer base. This arrangement persists because its full extent remains largely hidden from public view, obscured by Christmas photographs and carefully managed media coverage that emphasizes tradition and family rather than wealth and privilege. Balmoral Castle, Scotland's £1 billion fortress. If Sandringham represents the royal family's English country retreat, Balmoral Castle serves as their Scottish fortress, a vast Highland estate that functions as the ultimate expression of royal privilege, privacy, and accumulated wealth. Conservative estimates place the estate's value at over £100 million, but comprehensive assessments that account for the full 50,000-acre property, extensive infrastructure, multiple residences, commercial operations, and irreplaceable historical significance suggest valuations that could exceed £1 billion. Balmoral was purchased by Prince Albert in 1852 as a private residence for Queen Victoria, using funds from personal resources and inherited wealth. Victoria famously transformed it into the royal sanctuary it remains today, and it has passed through royal inheritance to each succeeding monarch. Like Sandringham, it transferred from Elizabeth II to Charles III in 2022 without inheritance tax, an exemption that, given Balmoral's value, potentially saved the estate £40 to £400 million, depending on which valuation is accepted. The estate encompasses approximately 50,000 acres of Scottish Highlands, making it one of the largest private landholdings in Scotland. It includes Balmoral Castle itself, a 52-room Victorian mansion, several smaller houses including Birk Hall, Charles's private residence, discussed separately below, numerous cottages for staff and guests, extensive grouse moors and deer stalking grounds, forests, rivers and mountains, agricultural land, and commercial operations. Balmoral functions as a working estate with substantial income from deer stalking, grouse shooting, fishing rights, timber, and farming. These activities generate private income for the monarch, subject to voluntary income tax but exempt from the corporation tax and capital gains tax that would apply to any other Scottish estate of comparable scale and commercial operations. The sporting activities command premium prices, with wealthy clients paying thousands of pounds for opportunities to hunt on royal estates, an income stream that depends entirely on the property's royal associations. Security costs for Balmoral are substantial and entirely publicly funded. Police Scotland provides year-round security, with operations intensifying during the summer months when the royal family is in residence. Royal protection officers maintain permanent presence, and counter-terrorism measures are regularly updated at taxpayer expense. The estate's remote location necessitates extensive security infrastructure, communication systems, and rapid response capabilities, all funded by the public purse, while the estate remains private property generating private income. The estate benefits from public infrastructure that serves its needs. Roads throughout the Highlands provide access, maintained by Scottish authorities. Healthcare facilities, emergency services, and utilities serve the estate with costs borne by taxpayers. The Balmoral brand benefits from Scotland's tourism infrastructure, with visitors drawn to the region partly by royal associations. The estate opens limited areas to public tours, generating income from visitors who come specifically because of the property's royal connections. Balmoral's role in royal mythology is carefully curated. It is presented as the place where the family can truly be private, away from London's formalities and public scrutiny. Photographs released by the palace show family members in Highland dress, engaging in country pursuits, appearing as Scottish landowners rather than constitutional monarchs. This imagery serves to normalize the family, presenting them as ordinary in their private lives, while simultaneously emphasizing their connection to Scottish tradition and heritage. The estate's political significance should not be underestimated. It allows the monarchy to maintain a visible Scottish presence, important during periods of rising support for Scottish independence. Royal time spent at Balmoral is presented as evidence of the family's commitment to Scotland, its integration into Scottish life, and the historical bonds between the monarchy and Scotland. Critics note that this presence consists of a wealthy English family maintaining a private holiday estate in the Highlands, a practice with complex historical resonances, while benefiting from exemptions and subsidies unavailable to actual Scottish residents. The death of Queen Elizabeth II at Balmoral in September 2022 intensified the estate's symbolic importance. She chose to spend her final days there, and the event was presented as her dying in the place she loved most. The subsequent transfer of the estate to Charles was discussed primarily in sentimental terms, with little public attention to the financial implications of inheriting such valuable property tax-free. Had any ordinary Scottish family inherited a comparable estate, they would face devastating tax liability, likely forcing sale of the property. The royal family operates under different rules. Environmental questions surrounding Balmoral receive limited scrutiny. The estate's grouse moors and deer stalking operations represent land management practices increasingly criticized by conservationists.